Hi and welcome, Martina here. I am very excited to share a new Spellbinders release with you. This is Flea Market Finds. I will be working with the mini envelopes one die set. This is the set I'm just placing out at the moment. There are two envelope dies, two inserts for the envelopes, several die cut or cut out pieces, and some tiny little add ons. To make it easier to imagine, I have die cut all the pieces from white cardstock so you get an idea what you could create with it. And for me, it's just nice to see what I have on hand and what I can work with. I will also be working with the Reading Matters and the Sign Here stamp set and the Code Check Miscellany printed die cuts. I totally love these die cuts because they're vintagey, but they are not too vintagey. And they also have these rainbowy feels because they are very colorful, and this makes it very easy for me to work with them. For today's card, which will be in a greenish blue tone, yeah, greenish blue tone, I decided to work with these three or four, no, three die cuts. And yeah, I think it's a great start to just dig in or dive in these die cuts. But now let's get started with my card. I am working on a slimline format cardstock. It's well quality but regular cardstock. It's no specialty paper. And I'm starting to build my background by stamping on it. This is something I really like to do. Whenever I plan on doing mixed media things, I grab my archival ink, my black archival ink, because I know I can totally rely on this stamp ink. It's it's fade proof, it's waterproof, it dries very fast, and I know I can work with many medias on top of it and it won't smear. So it's my absolutely ink to go when I'm working with stamps for mixed media projects. You see, I'm using the more edgy stamps, the ones with a rectangular frame, the ones with the more clear and not round fonts, because I feel they match well together, and I also think they will later work nicely with the more rectangular shapes I will be adding to my background. You see, the die cuts are rectangular, and I will be also gluing down some of the die cuts, which are also more rectangular, and I just think it makes a lot of sense to, yeah, if the card is getting messy, it's also okay to stay in one style with the shapes, for example. I am now covering the whole background panel with the texture paste. I'm using texture paste transparent matte. It's a Ranger product. I think you could also use Mod Podge, any gel medium you have on hand, or probably just something you'd like to try. Maybe something that you have on hand works as well as the stuff I have on hand. I am now gluing down some of the die cut pieces with my transparent paste. I'm making sure that I have a thin layer on the background and on top of the die cut, just to make sure that it sticks well to the paper and I have an even surface to work on later. And I'm trying to have a very thin layer because, for one, I don't like these bulky layers of medias on cards, and I also am very impatient when it comes to craft, and I just think it takes too long to dry if you have a too big amount of product on your project. That's why I'm just trying to keep the amount of product as much as needed, but as little as possible. I think that's a way you could say it. You see, I'm just mixing up die cut pieces, printed pieces with white cardstock pieces, and I'm again and again going over everything with the paintbrush just to make sure that I have a nice and even surface. As soon as my background is dried, I'm trying to work further. I have the word dies which say sending hugs from the Simply Perfect Mix and Match Sentiment set, which is also Spellbinders die cut set. And I've been the first time working with the black glitter foam sheets, and it's incredible. They work so perfectly fine. I just send them through one time through my die cutting machine, and you can see it in, well, two times sped up, but almost real time. These small fallout pieces, they fall out so easily, and the die cuts look so perfectly. I'm really amazed how great this product works, and I can't wait to use it more. You can also see the leftover piece. It is amazing. I'm hooked. I have to admit it. But first things first, we have to get some color onto the background. But before we can do that, we have to make sure that the background looks nice. I'm just flipping it over and using the paper on the backside as an alignment, and just cutting the excess paper pieces off, and I'm left with a nice and proper looking background piece for a card. To color my project, I'm using my Lindy's Magicals, but I think you could use whatever color media you like to work with. I think you could use dye inks, distress oxides, watercolors. You could use acrylic paint, which is watered down, whatever your heart desires, whatever you like to work with or you feel safe to work with. I just love my Lindy's, and that's why I decided to work with them. I created you could also almost call it a watercolor, because I'm already diluting my color powders, so I can just add them to my background. I have added a tiny amount of water to the background and the front of my card panel, and I'm then just going in with my paintbrush and I'm randomly mixing these three colors. I am trying to keep my color clusters like in the places I already have them, and I'm trying to not over color my card. It's always hard to find that moment and spot where you should stop and not work any further, but I think I managed to do it pretty well here. And the nice thing is, with product like this, you can always go back, as I did now. I felt like I could add a little bit more. You can just leave everything to dry and go back and add another layer, It's I usually tend to say it's like if you're using spice in the kitchen. Sometimes it's just better to add less, because you can always go back and add more. As soon as my card is dried, and I mean completely dried, I glued it to a card base, and now I can just start to decorate my card. I'm playing around with my sending hugs word dies, and as soon as I have an idea of where I want to place them, I'm gluing them down with my Burley Arts glue, which is my absolute favorite glue to work with, especially with filigrane stuff like this is. And I'm trying to apply a very thin amount of glue, again, just to avoid bulks and I don't know how it's called, if you have an overflow of glue, if you put the stuff down. Yeah, maybe. I just want to have a nice and neat card, even if it's a mixed media and messy card. I like a nice and proper result. And you see, I'm not always very sure about the placement of my sentiments, but at the end I find a place and just glue it down. And then deciding what embellishments I will be using, I decided to go with just some black Spellbinders sequins. I absolutely love the ones that have no holes. And again, I'm using the Burley Arts glue to glue everything down, and I'm using one of these pickup ones to do so. And as soon as I have the sequins on my card, I am done. And I'm still very excited because it's my first Spellbinders project, but I also have to say I really love this card because it has a vintagey feel, and at the same time I feel it's a modern, nice, and yeah, just pleasable card. I really hope you liked the video. I hope you liked the process. I hope you feel inspired to get creative, and wish you a very wonderful day. Bye.